I've heard of him.
Apparently, and I think the story is true, then they have a meeting. They do the meetings. And Diller said, you got the gal. You can do a hell of a lot better for the guy.
Hey, everyone. Buckle up, because Ed O'Neill, the guy who played Al Bundy on Married with Children, just dropped a bombshell that can change how you see the show forever. For 11 seasons, this wild sitcom shocked America with its rude humor and crazy family. The Bundys. Fans loved laughing at Al's miserable life as a shoe salesman, Peg's lazy antics, and their kids' wacky schemes. But Ed's revealing secrets that nobody saw coming. Stuff about fights behind the scenes, episodes that got banned, and a finale that left the cast stunned. This isn't just about funny moments on TV. It's about a show that broke all the rules and hid some dark truths. So, grab a snack, get comfy, and let's dive into the real story of Married with Children and the secrets Ed O'Neill's finally sharing. Let's go back to the 1980s, when TV was full of perfect families like on The Cosby Show or Family Ties. Everyone was smiling, hugging, and learning sweet life lessons by the end of each episode. But two guys, Michael Moy and Ron Levitt, had a different idea. They wanted a show that was the opposite of those happy, perfect families. They called it not the Cosbys at first, just to make it clear they were going to be totally different. Their plan was to show a messy, lower-middle-class family that was always fighting, always broke, and never learning any big lessons. They created the Bundys. Al, a grumpy shoe salesman. Peg, his lazy, loud wife. Kelly, their not-so-bright daughter. And Bud, their sneaky son. The show was full of rude jokes, wild arguments, and no warm fuzzies. It was a risky idea, but Fox, a new TV network, loved it. They saw a chance to stand out by airing something bold that big networks like ABC or NBC wouldn't touch. Finding the right actors was super important. In 1986, Ed O'Neill walked into the audition for Al Bundy. He didn't say much, just plopped down on a couch with a big, tired sigh, like his uncle used to do after a long day. That moment won over creators instantly. They thought, this guy is Al Bundy. Ed was a former football player from Ohio, born on April 12, 1946, who'd been acting in small roles but hadn't hit it big yet. He brought a grumpy, sarcastic vibe that was perfect. For Peg, they cast Katie Segal, who showed up with big red hair and a sassy attitude. Katie was a singer and actress who loved how Peg was so different from typical TV moms. She read the script and thought, this is wild and I'm all in. The role of Kelly went to Christina Applegate, who was only 15 but nailed the part with her mix of innocence and humor, but was played by David Faustino, just 12 years old, who made the character funny and a little sneaky. Amanda Burst was cast as Marcy, the Bundy's uptight neighbor, and David Garrison played her husband, Steve. The cast clicked right away, like a real family, even with all their sarcasm. When Married with Children hit TV screens in 1987, it was a shock. People weren't used to a show where the family was so rude to each other. I would come home from his awful job, slump on the couch, and complain about everything. Peg would tease him and spend his money. Kelly and Bud were always getting into trouble, and the neighbors, Marcy and Steve, added even more chaos. Fans loved it because it felt real, like families they knew who weren't perfect. But not everyone was happy. Some people thought the show was too crude, with jokes about sex and money that pushed the limits. Fox leaned into it, saying, this show isn't for everyone, but if you like to laugh, it's for you. That attitude helped the show find a huge audience, especially young people who loved its rebellious vibe. Then came 1989, and things got crazy. An episode called Her Cups Runneth over-aired in the third season. In it, Peg drags out to the store to find a bra she loves that's been discontinued. The episode had wild humor, like a guy in a crown selling lingerie, and jokes that were super racy for the time. A woman named Terry Ricalta from Michigan watched it and was furious. She thought it was inappropriate for TV and started a big campaign to get the show canceled. She wrote letters to companies that advertised during the show, like Coca-Cola and Gillette, asking them to stop supporting it. Many did, and Fox got scared. They even pulled another episode, I'll See You in Court, where the Bundys and their neighbors sue a hotel for secretly filming couples. It was too much for 1989 TV, and the episode didn't air until years later on cable, with parts cut out. Ed O'Neill later said the boycott made everyone nervous. The cast and crew felt like every word they said was being watched. Katie Sagal remembered how tough it was to film scenes knowing people were upset. But here's the wild part. The boycott made the show more popular. Before the controversy, Married with Children was doing okay, ranking 48th in ratings. After Terry's campaign, people got curious and started watching to see what the fuss was about. From seasons 4 to 8, the show stayed in the top 50, becoming one of Fox's biggest hits. Fans loved the Bundy's rude, funny world, and the show proved that being different could make you a star. But behind the scenes, things weren't always so funny. Ed O'Neill recently shared a secret that surprised everyone. The cast didn't always get along. One big fight happened with Amanda Burse, who played Marcy. In 1989, TV Guide did a cover story about the show, but it only featured Ed, Katie, Christina, and David, the Bundy family. Amanda and David Garrison were left out, and Amanda was hurt. She felt like she wasn't valued. Even though Marcy was a huge part of the show, Ed admitted he should have spoken up for her, but he didn't, and it caused tension. Things got worse in 1993 when Amanda got married and didn't invite Ed. She later said it was a tough choice, but their relationship was too strained. Ed felt bad about it and said he overreacted, but the two stayed distant for the rest of the show. It's crazy to think that the cast, who seemed so close on screen, had real fights off camera. There were other struggles too. In 1991, Katie Sagal faced a heartbreaking loss. She was pregnant, and the writers added her pregnancy to the show, with Peg expecting a baby. But at 7 months, Katie had a miscarriage. It was devastating, and the writers had to change the story. They made the whole pregnancy a dream I had, so Katie wouldn't have to act out something so painful. She later said it was the hardest time of her life, but the cast and crew supported her like family. Another tough moment came in 1992 when the show added a new character, a kid named Seven, who was supposed to be a cousin living with the Bundys. Fans hated him. They thought he didn't fit, and after one season, Seven was gone with no explanation. Ed called it a big mistake, and fans still talk about it as the moment the show jumped the shark, when it started to lose its spark. Ed also revealed something shocking about band scenes. Some episodes were so wild that parts got cut or never aired. For example, in I'll See You in Court, there were lines about sex and privacy that were too much for TV back then. When it finally aired on cable in 2002, it was edited and fans felt cheated. Other episodes, like The Egg and I, made fun of animal rights groups, and some people got mad, say it was mean. Then there was No Ma'am, a storyline where Al starts a men's club to fight against women taking over guy stuff. Feminist groups hated it, but fans loved the over-the-top humor. Ed said these episodes were meant to make you laugh, not to be taken seriously, but they still caused big fights. Some scenes were cut from reruns or DVDs, and Ed thinks it's a shame because those moments show the show's fearless spirit. Filming wasn't easy either. The show was shot in front of a live audience, sometimes 500 people, at studios in Los Angeles. Ed said the physical comedy, like falling or fake fighting, hurt his back, especially since they filmed so fast. Katie remembered doing a scene where she fell down the Bundy stairs over and over to get it right. It was exhausting, but she loved making people laugh. Christina, who was a teenager during the show, said some of the sexy jokes made her uncomfortable, but the cast made her feel safe. Guest stars like comedian Sam Kinison, who played AL's crazy guardian angel, brought wild energy that made episodes stand out. Ed loved improvising lines, especially in the shoe store scenes, where he'd throw in extra sarcastic comments that got big laughs. Those moments became fan favorites, like when Al would snap at a customer with a line that wasn't even in the script. Here's the biggest secret Ed shared. The show's ending was a total shock to the cast. In 1997, after 11 seasons, Married with Children ended with no warning. Ed found out it was canceled when a couple in Ohio stopped him on the street and said, "Congrats on wrapping up the show." He was confused because no one had told him. Christina heard it on the radio while driving to work. There was no big goodbye party or announcement, just silence. The final episode, aired on May 5, 1997, was called A Desperate Half Hour. It wasn't a real finale, just another funny episode where Al and Peg deal with a hostage situation. Fans were upset there was no proper ending, and Ed said it hurt because the show meant so much to them. He wished they'd had a chance to say goodbye properly. After the show ended, the cast went their own ways, but they carried the Bundy spirit with them. Ed O'Neill found new fame as Jay Pritchett on Modern Family from 2009 to 2020, becoming a TV dad all over again. In 2024, he played Donald Sterling in a miniseries called Clipped and got tons of praise. Katie Sagal starred as Gemma Telemoro in Sons of Anarchy from 2008 to 2014, winning a Golden Globe. She loves meeting fans at events like Phoenix Fan Fusion in 2025, where she talks about how Married with Children changed TV. Christina Applegate kept acting in shows like Dead to Me, but in 2021, she shared that she has multiple sclerosis, a disease that affects her body. In 2025, she released a memoir about her life, but she was hospitalized for a kidney infection, worrying fans. David Faustino focused on voice acting for shows like The Legend of Korra and loves meeting fans at comic conventions. Amanda Burse became a director, working on sitcoms, and still connect with fans at events like OKCon Expo in 2025. The show's legacy is huge. Married with Children ran for 259 episodes and was Fox's longest-running sitcom at the time. It's still on Hulu and Peacock, and in 2025, viewership in Australia jumped by over 400%, showing people still love it. The show broke the mold of perfect TV families, paving the way for shows like The Simpsons and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Ed said the show worked because it was real, funny but also kind of sad, like life. Katie said it was about breaking rules, and Christina called it a family that stuck together, even when they fought. A planned animated reboot with the original cast was canceled in 2025, which bummed out fans hoping to see the Bundys again. Ed's revelations make us see Married with Children differently. It wasn't just a funny show, it was a battleground. The cast dealt with fights, heartbreak, and pressure from people who hated their humor. Banned episodes and cutscenes show how hard they pushed the limits. The sudden ending left a mark, but it also showed how much the show meant to everyone. When you watch or complain about his job or Peg tease him, you're seeing a piece of real life, messy, loud, and full of love, even if it's hidden under sarcasm. Fans on social media are buzzing about Ed's secrets. One wrote, "I never knew about the banned episodes. That's wild." Another said, "The Bundys felt like my family growing up." It's a show that still makes people laugh and think, even 30 years later. This is the story of Married with Children, a show that dared to be different and paid the price, but also won hearts around the world. Ed O'Neill's truth shows us the chaos behind the laughs, the fights behind the family, and the strength it took to keep going. The Bundys weren't perfect, but they were real, and that's why we still love them. If this story surprised you, hit that like button. It helps us share more stories like this. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next deep dive into TV's biggest secrets. Share this video with your friends, and let us know in the comments your favorite Married with Children moment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.